Hello and welcome back to Not Just Paleo. If you're new to the show, my name's Evan Brand, your host, and my goal is to transform your life using nutrition, lifestyle, proper stress management, and many other things that go beyond paleo. 90% of my clients are already on a paleo diet and they are still struggling. If you need a 15-minute free consultation with me, you can sign up for that at my website, notjustpaleo.com. But I want to make sure you join my newsletter and get access to the must-have tools for your health, happiness, and business. I just released this morning. It's at the website. You'll see the link in the menu bar. And I have some updates at the end of the show that you really don't want to miss. But this episode with Dr. Jack Wolfson on heart health is going to blow your mind. So get ready, and here we go. Hey there, I am back with Dr. Jack Wolfson, who I found via the internet, the beauty of the internet once again. My wife found a post on Facebook, surprisingly enough, to an article that Dr. Jack had written that apparently is pretty controversial to the mainstream, which is right up my alley. So he's a cardiologist, and we're going to learn more about him here as soon as I bring him on. Dr. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Evan. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so tell people a little bit about yourself. You call yourself the natural cardiologist, and I think that is awesome.
Thank you. You know, I go back and forth between the natural cardiologist and the paleo cardiologist. My book title is going to be called The Paleo Cardiologist. So I'll take both hats for now, and they're both pretty similar, actually. I'm a board-certified cardiologist with the American Board of Internal Medicine, which is the same board that certifies every other cardiologist in the United States of America. I did 4 years of osteopathic medical school, 3 years of internal medicine, and 3 years of cardiology. And after those 10 years, I started a practice in 2002 out here in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, although it's a little rainy today. It's very rainy today, for that matter. And I was practicing for several years. I was doing angiograms and pacemakers and all the typical things that a cardiologist does. And a few years into practice, I met the woman who would become my wife, and she is a chiropractor. And she started whispering things in my ear, like, the pharmaceuticals are dangerous, and they've got side effects, and they're not addressing the cause of the problem. The procedures and the surgeries you're sending people for are often not necessary. And I kind of looked at her and said, who are you to tell me this? I mean, you're a chiropractor. You're not even like a real doctor. Why would you say those things? But I started to listen. I started to listen to what she had to say, started to change things around. And I eventually left that practice and opened up my own practice, which is a natural and holistic cardiology practice. I see patients from all over the world. Have sought my consultation. It's really been amazing. There's not many people out there like me. I mean, I've got additional training from an organization called A4M in metabolic cardiology. I've gone to lectures. I've met with doctors, natural doctors from all over the world. So I've really done a lot to educate myself on the natural ways to practice. I pride myself on getting people off of pharmaceuticals. I applaud the stuff that you're doing because the factors of sleep and stress and exercise are just never stressed. So thank you to you.
Well, thanks, and it's great to connect with you. This is a good experience for me and my audience for sure. So where should we start in your journey? We don't have to spend too much time on where you came from, but sort of what you're doing now and sort of some of the zoomed out versions of how you're actually improving people's lives through your natural medicine.
Well, what I do in my practice now is compared to the old practice. The old practice was a 10-minute office visit. Hi, how you doing? You taking your pills? Here's some more pills. Here's a new prescription. Go get a stress test on your way out. Good luck. It's a quick 10-minute office visit. Now I take 75 minutes on my new consultations with patients, and even that's not enough time. But I've only got so much time in the day, and luckily there's a lot of demand for my skills. But 75 minutes is just about what it takes to really understand someone. Where they've been for 50, 60, 70 years. What is their history about? What have they been exposed to? what toxins, heavy metals, careers, environmental pollutants, have they been in? How were they raised? Were they breastfed? I mean, what doctors are asking people if the patient was breastfed? But breastfeeding decreases the risk of heart disease, not only for the mother, but also for the baby. It's in the literature. So just kind of breaking down all those different factors, finding out pharmaceutical history, supplements history, really getting to understand who I'm dealing with as opposed to the one-size-fits-all Band-Aid approach of typical cardiology. And that's what I'm doing differently in my office. Additionally, I do some of the most advanced cardiovascular tests on the planet, extensive blood testing, saliva, urine, stool testing, food sensitivity panels to determine the cause of why someone has coronary artery blockages or hypertension or palpitations or heart failure or valve disease. You can learn a lot from doing those extensive tests. So that's certainly one of the ways that my practice is different now than it was 3-4 years ago.
Well, that's exciting. And so how have you run these tests on yourself, and how have your numbers changed since you've adopted a sort of paleo approach to your own life?
Well, I've run the tests on myself, and they're very intriguing. And when I follow strict paleo, the numbers look very good. But I'm not perfect. There's not too many people that are perfect paleo. And if they say they're perfect paleo, I would venture to bet they are not. I'm not going to say everybody, but I'm saying the majority of people, just because I've seen it in my patients. I know what people tell me, even as their physician, and you look at the blood work and you say, sorry, you're not following paleo. But I will say this is that, what I do tell my patients, to me, I'm not perfect on paleo all the time, although I usually am. But when I'm not, I'm always organic and I'm always gluten-free. Because if we eat the organic foods, we're keeping the chemicals out of our lives. Most people, frankly, they're not willing to give up ice cream. They're not willing to give up coffee. They're not willing to give up chocolate. And I stress to them, if you're going to eat those foods, just go make it organic. Go to Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's, whatever your local grocer is. And if you want ice cream, get organic grass-fed ice cream, because you're getting all the flavor, all the dairy, all that you love, but you're not getting the chemicals. And the chemicals are really, really bad stuff. They're very inflammatory, very problematic. But once again, when I do follow strict paleo, my numbers look fantastic. And I have patients, when they follow strict paleo, their numbers look fantastic. One of the things, Evan, about cardiologists is that we love to get the cholesterol as low as possible. We want that, that number, just driven down by the pharmaceutical class called statins. But the reality is, cholesterol has a purpose, as you know, in the body. Cholesterol is 10% of our brain. Cholesterol makes up every single cell membrane in our bodies, that fence that surrounds the cells. Cholesterol forms our hormones, and it's for digestion. And cholesterol is floating through the skin, and the sun hits it, and it becomes vitamin D. So cholesterol is a very important molecule. And what I tell people is, I'm here to find what's called your paleo cholesterol or your caveman cholesterol. What number is perfect for you? Because everybody's different. You're different from your best friend from high school, than your wife and your next door neighbor. Everybody's different. And when you follow paleo nutrition, and in addition, you get the chemicals out of your life, you work on your stress, and you get your sleep, and you exercise, we're going to find the perfect number for you. And that's where things are going to be. And you're going to do very well. And I've seen it thousands of times.
So do you care to share some ranges, maybe what the average man, say 20 to 50 or 20 to 60, what sort of range cholesterol numbers would be? And then I guess we could talk a little bit about the LDL particle size and all that if you want to.
Fantastic. So, what you're mentioning really is this is the 1970s blood testing panel. This is total cholesterol, total LDL, total HDL. That's the stuff my father was testing in the 1970s and 80s when he was in practice. But you're right. It's all about particle numbers, particle sizes, and that's really what matters. If you're asking me for particular numbers on LDL particles, first off, let me say, me personally, I do not prescribe statin drugs. I just don't do it. If patients are on them and they come to see me, we work to get them off of them. If that's not the goal, they need not come see a natural cardiologist. They can go stick with a conventional cardiologist. For anybody with coronary artery disease, I'd like to see their LDL numbers, particles, below 1,500. And we can achieve that easily with the appropriate nutrition and appropriate supplements. There are rare cases of people with genetic abnormalities that lead to extraordinarily high lipids, but this is really 1 in 500 people at most. It's just not that common. And for that person, I would give the choice about a statin or not. But when they're coming to see me, they're seeking alternative methods, and we can be successful with that. So, once again, we try and get the particles in the right place, and the particle size is in the right place, and we try and lower one particular factor called LP little a, and LP little a is a nasty little bugger. For your listeners, obviously the LDL is not the bad cholesterol, just as HDL is not the good cholesterol. That is all just pharmaceutical company and doctors speak. Every human produces LDL. Every animal species produces LDL and HDL. They're there for a reason, obviously. We've had them for millions and millions and millions of years. Of the LDLs, there are the large, buoyant, fluffy ones, which are good, and there's the small, dense ones that are inflammatory and can be harmful. The LDL is the bus that leaves the liver to deliver passengers, and that LDL bus is the cholesterol and CoQ10 and fat-soluble vitamins and phospholipids, the things that are so critical for brain function. That's why the liver developed it, to deliver those passengers around the body where needed. When the testicles need more testosterone, they call out to the liver, send down more cholesterol, and the LDL bus comes down there and drops off its passengers. So all these numbers have benefit on checking them, but they're easily modified by appropriate nutrition and supplements.
I love your analogy there. That's awesome. And so that's really helpful because people don't understand that when you start adding in a drug like a statin, the cascade of effects that happens downstream, people may have no clue that it's related to that original drug that they're using. They may just think that cholesterol is the one thing, but they don't realize they're messing up 10 other reactions downstream. And then what do? They go get Viagra. It's crazy. The pathway to cholesterol production starts off with a couple small, tiny molecules, and then eventually winds up in cholesterol. But the production is stopped at one of those early steps. But there's 10 additional steps that produce 10 different things, and there may be more than that, but that's just the point. What if those 10 other things called intermediates, if they're important, if they have a role? And science is very unclear on that, but clearly there's a lot of people, certainly that I see in my practice, that had statin-induced muscle damage, that had brain issues related to statins, a lot of different complaints, neuropathy, numbness, tingling related to the drug. And we're dealing with really the unknown here. It's just the science on this really is not that great. Right. So let's talk about. We can talk a little bit about diet. We've obviously hit on the fact that you support and see that the paleo diet is a great diet for overall heart health. Maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit, and then we can talk about maybe some daily maintenance or daily upkeep strategies. You mentioned career and things like that, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, paleo nutrition is first of all, let me say this: doctors get zero training in nutrition in medical school, residency, and fellowship. We did not discuss this at all. The only thing we would ever say occasionally, or maybe it will be in just some pre-printed handout to people, follow a low-fat diet. And we passed out that information, and obviously that information is totally false. When I first was, listening to my wife and first starting to change, I started reading some books, and I read Lauren Cordain's book, The Paleo Diet, and I read Neanderthal by Ray Audette. And these were really my first exposures to nutrition, and they were absolutely fascinating. I did, when I was in training, I was at a lecture with the late, Robert Atkins, and I listened to what he had to say. I tried that on myself personally. I was never overweight, but never would stick with Atkins because I'm addicted to carbs and sugar like everybody else is. But Atkins, I think, is a phenomenal diet. Well, let me say this. I think it's an okay diet in some ways, but he was missing the boat in other ways. But you start to read about paleo, you start to do the research, and there's more research coming out on a daily basis about how paleo works, how it trumps the Mediterranean diet, which gets so much good publicity, whereas paleo tends to get a lot of negative publicity. But paleo, it just makes sense. Our ancestors have been doing it for millions of years. Every society in the history of the world has been a meat and or seafood eater. Every animal either eats other animals or they eat bugs. So everybody's eating something with eyes. You get some of these people that say, "Oh, I would never eat anything that has eyes." Well, that's a starvation diet. That's a deprivation diet. And that's not appropriate. So, excuse me. So, when it comes to paleo, once again, I see fantastic results with my patients. They do very well, and I have a lot of success with it. So.
That's great. Yeah, you mentioned career as something that you look into when you're hearing somebody's history. I think that'd be cool for you to elaborate on how something like career stress and the sort of emotional traumas that could have built up over life may affect your heart.
Most certainly, and I think, once again, this is an area that is totally not discussed with our patients. We don't have time. In a 10-minute office visit with your typical patient, there's no time to talk about stress, about anxiety, about built-up emotional issues, about things like social isolation. But if you go into the medical literature, it is all over the place that these factors are at play. Out here in Arizona, we do not practice daylight savings time. Daylight savings time, though, obviously the majority of the United States is on daylight savings time. In the spring, when we spring forward, everybody loses an hour. So in the middle of the night on a Sunday, Sunday a.m., it goes from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., in the blink of an eye. So people wake up earlier, they lose that hour of sleep. Heart attack risk is 20% higher on the day after daylight savings time in the spring. Lack of sleep and the stress associated with it is a major, major problem. You would ask me about careers, and I ask people about their careers, number one, to find out their stress level, number two, to see if they've had any kind of chemical or toxic exposure. Did they work in a smelting factory, a metal foundry, an oil refinery? Did they were they on an assembly line? Were they exposed to mercury, aluminum, some other heavy metals, in their lives? Were they a radiation, technologist? Were they exposed to any kind of radioactive materials? These things are all obviously extremely important, and all of them are associated with risk factors. I mean, how about this? How about the guy or girl who works at the airport? Down where there's passenger pickup and passenger drop off. How about the people that work in a toll booth? They are exposed to exhaust fumes from cars all day long, and the reality is they're at much higher risk of cardiovascular disease. We know that. It's in the literature. So these are important issues when we're trying to get to the cause of health problems. And that's what we're all about in my practice, is all about getting to the cause and not the Band-Aid approach of typical medicine.
That's good stuff, man. I love your confidence. It makes me super excited now that we've crossed paths. Let's talk about supplements a little bit. What are some of the daily maintenance things? Of course, we can get into some of the advanced stuff later, but what are some of the kind of the candy of the supplement world, if you will?
Well, in my upcoming book, I've got a chapter called Top 20 Supplements. On my website, I'll give you my shameless plug here. The website is called thedoctorswolfson.com, THEDRSWOLFSON.com. And I've got 305 blog posts on there that talk about various things. I've got paleo recipes and whatnot, but I also try and put the information up there for my patients as to why the supplements work. Because even in a 45-minute follow-up visit, when you put them on a natural supplement like berberine, for example, I could talk for half an hour about berberine, but they're not going to retain all that, and they're not going to want to sit and listen to me talk about berberine for 30 minutes. So I say, go read it in my blog. Berberine, for example, is a fantastic supplement. It's been around for years. There's a lot of data that really comes out of China. The Chinese have really done a lot of studying on berberine, and berberine has fantastic effects on lipids and getting to an appropriate lipid, cholesterol levels. It also helps as far as blood sugar is concerned, and we know the mechanism of how it works, as we do in most supplements for that matter. But what berberine does is it increases. One of the ways it works, it increases the hepatic LDL receptors. So these little catcher's mitts that are on the liver that are responsible for pulling old LDL out of the circulation, berberine increases the genetic expression of those LDL receptors, so there are more of them on the liver to pull that LDL out of circulation, and it does so in a gentle fashion. Now, there is a class of pharmaceuticals that is right around the pike called the PCSK9 inhibitors. Long name, they'll come up with some much prettier sounding names as they're about to hit market, but they are right around the corner, and they basically do the same thing. They increase the receptors on the liver. They work dramatically. Berberine in appropriate dosing does not work dramatically, but it works. And in some people, it works very well. We're not looking for dramatic reductions. I'm not looking to take LDL particles down to 400, 500, 600. I'm not looking for those kind of ranges. But I think a good natural supplement, BERINE is berberine. I like that product. I use that a lot. To me, a multivitamin it's the foundation of a healthy supplements regimen. As well as you and I eat, as perfect paleo as we can be, there are still issues with the soil that the organic food is grown on. There's issues with the water that's used on the organic produce. There's issues with transportation. And there's frankly the fact that most people, when they start paleo, they start it when they're 30 or they're 40 or they're 60 or they're 90. And that means for all those years prior to that, they were not eating healthy. So you do need supplements. And on top of it, we are being poisoned and polluted on a daily basis from everything in our environment, from electromagnetic fields related to cell phones and computers and cell phone towers and Wi-Fi and all these other things that are in our lives. We need additional support, and that support really comes from a multivitamin. And frankly, there's very good data on the benefits of multivitamins. How can there not be good benefit? If there's proven benefits of the individual nutrients in the multi, how could the multi itself not be beneficial?
Yeah. So what brand do you use of multis in your practice?
Well, my friend, I've created my own brand. It's a private label, the Doctor's Wolfson. It's a custom formulation that my wife and I put together based on looking at all different vitamins and minerals, and that's the product that we use. But I'm not pushing the use of Centrum or one of these one-a-days because I think they're garbage. But there's even a study that says that in those patients who used Centrum had a 10% cancer risk reduction. So if you're using a garbage product like that to get 10%, what does a quality product get you? So how do you identify quality multivitamin? And that's probably the subject of an entire hour to talk about that. But we want people to look at of any supplement they take. What are the fillers in there? Is there any fillers and artificial ingredients? When you look at the other ingredients in there, a quality multivitamin in my eyes and our product. The B vitamins are what's called methylated B vitamins, methylcobalamin, methylfolate. Our particular multivitamin has vitamin K as MK7, vitamin K2, and that's really has the best cardiovascular effects, the best bone building effects. It keeps the calcium in the bones and out of the arteries, vitamin K2. So I recommend all my patients, I start off every day with 2 different greens powders. They're private formulations, that I created. One is just a general greens powder. It's all organic. I'm sure it boggles your mind too. How do you go to a juice bar and get a juice that is non-organic?
Right.
All those pesticides and get a $10 drink, and you think you're being healthy, and all you're doing is getting a massive dose of pesticides.
Man, there's a chain here in town in Austin, which I guess I don't have to say their name. People that are here will know it, and it's a very popular juice smoothie bar, smoothie shots, juice shot type of bar. They're everywhere, and none of their stuff is organic. And the drive-through, I don't even know why, but they have a drive-through, man, and that drive-through is packed all the time, and it's all conventional produce, all conventional berries. I stay as far away as possible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the berries and stuff. It's so simple, and even a place that we won't mention my name, maybe, that was founded in Austin, Texas, a certain grocery store that originated there. How can they sell conventional produce? I don't get it. They're so big, they're so powerful, and they say, well, our customers, and we're trying to cater to all of our customers. Let your customers, if they want conventional produce, let them go to the other grocery store. They don't need to come to you. Take a stand, man. Make a difference. It's troublesome. So anyways, but back to the organic greens powder. There's scientific proof that the greens powders work. Organic will do that much better for you. My product is in a glass bottle. I would try and recommend doing everything in glass whenever you can, because plastic, the BPA in plastic, and even BPA-free plastic, contains other things that could be harmful. So always stick with glass. And the other greens product that we recommend that I mix together is a mixture of spirulina and chlorella. Both of those have medicinal benefits. And the FDA comes down on doctors, for making health claims about these products, but it's really just a joke, because these products do work. Spirulina is a fantastic source of protein loaded with nutrients. Studies have shown it decreases allergies and asthma. And chlorella is a fantastic blood cleanser. It binds up metals, and you poop them out the other side. So those are kind of just some of my general mainstays. I could go through my whole top 20 list if you'd like.
You mentioned EMF, and so I already told you about my book, Stress Solutions, reducing your EMF exposure and mitigating it if possible. I at least recommend everybody turn off their Wi-Fi routers at night already, or disable them and try to use Ethernet and things like that. But I'm curious, maybe in your clinical experience or personal life or whatever, what you've seen as the impacts of being around cell phone towers and things like that, because I've personally experienced severe exhaustion at my old job that was actually stationed right next to the base of a cell phone tower.
It is just one of those things where we're just like smoking. Nobody admitted for 40, 50 years that smoking was dangerous, and doctors said 9 out of 10 doctors, recommend smoking Camel cigarettes. The truth will come out about the dangers of EMF. It's certainly a problem, but listen, the reality is that it's in our lives, but let's try and minimize it whenever we can. And just like you said, turn off the Wi-Fi at night, get the cell phone out of the bedroom. I used to sleep with the pager under my pillow, and then it was the pager and the cell phone, and then it became just the smartphone. And I did that for years and years. The number of people that I've seen in my practice that admit to heart rhythm problems, palpitations, PACs, PVCs, skip beats, maybe even atrial fibrillation, that we can trace back to cell phone use and heavy, smart meters, electromagnetic fields. It's prevalent. In fact, I went up to a woman one time in the aforementioned healthy grocery store, and she had her cell phone tucked into her sports bra. And it was sitting over the left side of her chest, the strap on the left side. And I walked up to her and said, hey, listen, I'm a happily married man. I'm not trying to make conversation with you. But I got to tell you, I'm a cardiologist, and you have your cell phone sitting on top of your heart. Do you in any way think that could be causing a problem? The heart is an electrical organ. When you do an EKG or ECG on someone, you're measuring heart electricity. Is it possible that the cell phone is going to cause some changes? And in fact, there is data saying that it does. And this woman was actually very thankful, and she said, "Oh my gosh, for years I've actually been having skipped heartbeats, and now you're telling me that maybe it's from my cell phone." And I didn't see her or hear from her again, but once again, I think it's definitely a problem, and just the simple things. Yeah, turn off the Wi-Fi at night. Get the cell phone out of your bedroom. Get the electronics out of your bedroom. Get the TV out of your bedroom. Read a book. Unplug the lamp when you're done. Make that bedroom really like that fortress of solitude. Think about the fact that for the first 5 billion years on this planet, there was no electricity. There were no electronics. There were no cell phones and Wi-Fi. How can this possibly not present a problem to the human body? How can the satellites that we keep launching up in space that allow you and I to have this conversation right now, I'm not saying go back into the Stone Ages, I'm saying if you are looking for causes to your problem, then look here. Look at these things and see if you can do something about it. And I do have patients. There's a community up in northeastern Arizona called Snowflake. And it's well known for people to move up there that have multiple chemical sensitivities, that have issues, with EMF and with chemicals. And when you walk outside of your house and you get the smell of your next door neighbor's, dryer sheets and fabric softeners and toxic laundry detergents, these people, they have to move into this community to escape, these issues, and it's ruined a lot of lives.
Yeah, we got just a couple minutes left, but I figured you could give a little overview of your article that I ended up finding you on. It's been a pretty popular article about how basically people get so upset about certain issues, and yet they don't care what their kids eat. They don't care about the dryer sheet toxins. They don't care about dishwasher detergent. All of these other things that are right there in your face, nobody ever says anything about. But I think you may have wrote your article about the whole measles outbreak or something. You want to fill us in for a couple minutes on that?
Yeah, well, what happened was that I've been quoted before as being anti-vaccine, and I'm against injecting chemicals into children. We don't know the long-term side effects. We don't know the ramifications of it, and we're treating diseases that were in most cases very benign, and that's true for every single disease. What has made this country the way it is health-wise is good sanitation, clean water, and access to good food, nutrient, dense food. That is what's made us live longer. It's not been from the advent of vaccines. About a week ago, I got a call from a friend of mine, and she's in public relations, and she said, "Hey, listen, the news is looking to interview someone because of the recent measles outbreak. Would you be willing to talk?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll talk." So I do the interview, they play the interview, and it generates a lot of buzz on the Arizona newspaper website, and a lot of anger, some positive stuff, but a lot of anger. And it was at that point where I just kind of had this epiphany moment to say, you know what, I'm going to write a post of your misdirected anger. If you want something to be angry about, let's find something else to be angry about. Let's talk about, go get angry at fast food companies, and go get angry, at companies that produce, toxic household products. Get angry at your pediatrician for not informing you of the truth, and ultimately get angry at yourself, because you're the one that didn't ask the questions. You're the one who feeds your kid junk food just to shut them up. You're the one who doesn't co-sleep and didn't breastfeed and raise their child appropriately, and that's why they're sick. It's not because they didn't receive a vaccine. It's because of the other toxins that you administer them. You were pregnant and you ate garbage. You drank coffee. You were around secondhand smoke, whatever it may be. And then the final thing I think that made it go crazy viral was where I said, stop drinking your Starbucks. Stop going to get your nails done. You're too busy having affairs. You're too busy, waiting for your next sugar fix. For your next caffeine high, for your next cocktail. And that's what really, that kind of statement where you really hit people over the head. And it's been extremely controversial. And there are a lot of people out there with a lot of negative comments for what I had to say. But if people like me don't stand up and protect the children and open up people's eyes, I don't know who's going to do it.
Yeah, well, amen, and I hear you, and I'm starting to take a bit more, I don't know if I'd call it aggressive, is good of a positive portrayal of the word aggressive, but we have to take that approach, man, because us just kind of sitting around, just kind of, here's the new science, we kind of got to start beating this drum a lot harder because it seems like we're getting into pretty catastrophic territory pretty quickly.
Well, I totally agree with you. As they say, the squeaky wheel gets gets the grease, and I think that's true, for us. People have made comments to me, you're just trying to, make money off of this, and you sell supplements on your website. Listen, that stuff is all true. That's not all true. I do sell supplements on my website. I sell top quality supplements that work. I left a very, very lucrative cardiology practice behind to do the right thing and open up a natural cardiology office where I don't make near the amount of money that I walked away from. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this to change the world, to make it a safer place for my children and everybody else's children. That's my passion. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to make a quick buck and then retire on some remote island. That's not where you're going to find me. You're going to find me as a leader in this health revolution.
Awesome. I want to just pound the wall or something, man. I'll give you an air fist there, man. So
you got it, buddy.
All right. Dr. Jack Wolfson, thanks so much, man. We'll send people back to your website. Is there anything else that we need to leave people with before you go?
Once again, just keep fighting the good fight. Keep doing your reading, keep doing your research. Do what makes sense. Paleo makes sense. Getting appropriate sleep, go to bed with the sun down and wake with the sunrise. It just makes sense. Our ancestors did it. We should do it. It's sometimes not easy, but just keep trying to do the best you can. Always strive for better.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that.
All right. Thank you, Evan.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. If you didn't, I don't know how. What an awesome dude. People still to this day are scared of fat. And I promise you, if you're a healthcare practitioner, you know this. People are still scared of fat. They still need convincing. So what better way than to have a medical doctor that's actually a cardiologist that has seen the blood work and looked at people on a paleo diet and finds that their heart is healthy. Can you believe it? So there you go. I got a few updates for you because this is just awesome stuff going on. Super excited. The Not Just Paleo t-shirts are in the manufacturing process right now. Of course, they're going to be 100% organic cotton. They're going to have the mountains that you see on my website, notjustpaleo.com. It's going to say Not Just Paleo, and then in thin font, the True Health and Happiness. It'll have that right below it. So it's going to be the dark blue color with a white text and the white mountain. So it's going to be pretty sweet. If you haven't checked out Stress Solutions yet, now is your time. This is my 71-page guide that comes with 4 interviews with Dr. Tim Gersmar, Wendy Myers, Dr. Greg Emerson, and Dr. Justin Marcagiani, all different people with different lenses of stress, what it does to your body, the effects, and how to mitigate it. And then I go pretty deep into EMF, the electrical magnetic frequencies that you are familiar with by now if you've been a follower of this show for some time, and the simple ways to mitigate it and make your home a safe place. I definitely sleep better now that I've taken these steps. My recovery is definitely faster with some of these steps that I've put inside of Stress Solutions. It's a little bit bad as far as search engine optimization so far. So if you type in Stress Solutions, Evan Brand, you should find it. But the best way is just to go straight to the website and you'll find it there. And then lastly, I need your reviews on iTunes. We're getting close to 200, but we need to break that 200 review barrier. So I know there's multiple thousands of you that are going to download this in the first 24 hours. So there's no reason that iTunes should not have 1,000 reviews by the next time I look. I know the conversion rate is not that great, and you think that I'm just some mysterious guy out here and you're just downloading and listening passively. But no, I'm right here in the present moment with you, and I personally need your review. So head to iTunes. If you need help doing it, I made a video for you. Just click on podcast at my website, and you'll see a 12-second video. I know you have 12 seconds. You're probably going to be scrolling on Instagram for 12 minutes today. So, because I do it too. I'm not saying you're an addict, but you might be. But hey, write a review for the show. We're entering springtime here. Get outside. Listen to the birds. They're singing. Take your headphones off and listen to them. Nature has a lot more beautiful sounds than what may come out of your headphones. I'm sure you have great music taste, but the sound of a cardinal and a blue jay that started my day was pretty awesome. You can't really beat that. So I'll talk to you next week. Take great care and take action. Go get your must-have tools guide. Go get stress solutions and write your review. And then you'll get a t-shirt here in about few weeks or so. All right. Bye-bye.
He acts like it's all good, yeah, like everything's cool. Kiss her, got a line, and he leaves her. She doesn't have a clue that he's terrible news. Why I'm in a tie, I got to watch out, girl. Don't wanna see her cry her eyes out, girl. Cause I've been watching, you've been hurting. Let me be the one that loves you better.